It's a United States love affair with Formula One at the moment, so what a thrill for everyone today to see our drivers lapping COTA at full hot lap speed. It's the Circuit of the Americas, and it's qualifying.
Clear the garage, please. Car's ready to leave. No rain expected for the time being. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. Understood. Stopping this lap. Okay, we've only got one lap of fuel remaining. They're currently 21st.
That's it for sprint qualifying. Plenty more coming up over the rest of the weekend. So we'll see you all tomorrow. So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? It's the Circuit of the Americas then, situated 14 miles outside of the great city of Austin. This is a 3.6-mile lap with 20 corners, 10 to the left and 10 to the right, and top speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Overtaking opportunities are available into turns 1 and 12, especially with that rear wing DRS wide open. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Callie lines up on pole position, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, George Russell and Hamilton, Tsunoda, Sainz, Norris and Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Albon, Jack Doohan and Stroll, Bortoletto, Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson and Nico Hülkenberg, Behrman, Pepe Marti, Hadjar and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. Alongside me here in the commentary box today, former racing driver extraordinaire Naomi Schiff. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race, but I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint. As all the cars take their positions on the grid, the final preparations have been made, and all that's left is for the drivers to deliver on track.
Okay, we're monitoring some wear on the internal combustion engine. Be aware that we're going to start to see a loss of power. laps of fuel remaining now. We can now use DRS. DRS now available. Use your overtake button more. It's time to utilise some of this energy. Come on. straight behind, 17.7 seconds. Time last lap, 1:45.4. They're in 20th place. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. The energy stores depleting, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop. Keep on him, he might make a mistake. 1, and Verstappen's behind. Less than a second separates you. They're on old mediums. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Come on, just 3 laps to go, 3 laps. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 34.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in 20th place. And the time last lap, 1 minute 45.3. Okay mate, this is the final lap of the race, final lap. Keep on him, he might make a mistake. the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time. It's a United States love affair with Formula One at the moment, so what a thrill for everyone today to see our drivers lapping COTA at full hot lap speed. It's the Circuit of the Americas, and it's qualifying.
Okay, engines fired up, we're set. Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap. We're seeing major front wing damage. Box, box, box. to spend time repairing the damage to the car.
Well, you don't need me to remind you that Formula One is now so beloved in the United States that we race here 3 times a year. But let's give respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas, to give it its full name. This place laid the foundations for this moment and still remains the host of the US Grand Prix. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 turns to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 12 at this anti-clockwise track. It's 3.6 miles long and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Antonelli, Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda and Norris, Ocon, Albon, Doohan and Carlos Sainz, Stroll, Hamilton, Callie and Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Bortoletto, Ollie Behrman and Nico Hülkenberg, Lawson, Hadjar, Pepe Marti and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. So I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about this afternoon, and who's going to talk about it with us? None other than Naomi Schiff. Hi Naomi. And let's talk momentum with this driver. What a sprint it was. They start at 0 once again for today, but with a huge amount of confidence, surely. Well, they'll definitely be glad that there's not a sprint race today. Let's face it, the sprint couldn't have gone much worse, but what we're looking for today is a reaction. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race, but I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Yes, DRS now available. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. You've got 10 laps until your pit window opens. Pit window opens in 10 laps. Okay, that's Antonelli just ahead. Push hard. And the time last lap, 1:41.4. Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 2.1 seconds. They're all fresh softs. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. There are 34 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 3.5 seconds. Okay, information on Sainz. They're retiring from the race. Let's use overtake and burn off some of this energy. Okay, clear. Slowly gaining on the car in front. Try to keep up this momentum. Okay, gap to the car ahead, 2.1 seconds. Looks stable at the moment, no rain currently expected. Dry's definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. Approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time. Okay, gap ahead, 11.8 seconds. With the safety car out, this is a good opportunity to pit. We'll be a bit longer than planned on the next tyres, but we can make it work. Just remember, we'll probably lose track position.
Copy, can do.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. Copy. Okay, overtake the safety car. You may overtake the safety car. It's waiting to pick up the leader. Okay, Pepe's coming in for his stop now. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 54.4 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. They're currently 16th. Okay, let's get ready to go racing again. The safety car is in this lap. When the field accelerates, remember there's no overtaking until the timing line. Safety car in this lap. Green flag. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. DRS has been enabled. DRS is now enabled. We've got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Okay, Russell's behind you now. Time last lap, 1 minute 43.9. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, they've got 4 laps on their tyres. We think they've got one more stop. The car behind has front wing damage. It will have a harder time keeping up with you, so keep pushing. The underbody's taken some damage. Expect some significant impact to performance, I'm afraid. Systems all looking good. Head down. Be warned, the floor is now critically damaged. Gap to your teammate behind, 17.6 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. They're in 15th. And the time last lap, 1:46.2. As things stand, we'll be second in the championship. Tyre condition still looking good. Yellow flag. Okay, clear. Okay, so that's 17 laps of fuel remaining. As things stand, we're going to be leading the championship. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. They're in 14th place. And the time last lap, 1:47.2. Final lap, final lap. Push, push. Okay, give the other cars a bit more room if you can. It'll be a problem for us if we damage the car or get slapped with a penalty. Verstappen behind you now. Time last lap, 1:42.5. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, they've done 15 laps on those tyres. Looks like the car behind has a small amount of damage to the front wing, but it doesn't seem to be affecting performance. Just be aware. Absolutely awesome. Just amazing, mate. Well done.
Woo! Yes!
And what a win today! What a reception! It's victory for Callie Mayer.
Yes, it absolutely was, and what an incredible victory and an important milestone for them as we head into the business end of the season. You know that that's really going to matter from a confidence perspective to get them to the end of the season with potentially even more of these victories.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.